When it comes to a raw vegan diet, I'm going to share with you 5 simple hacks to stay raw. Welcome back for another video to Recalibrate with Nate. And in this video, I wanted to share with you 5 simple hacks to stay raw. Right now, I'm not talking raw like, where you're eating, all kinds of animal products and stuff. I'm talking about a raw vegan diet. No animal products, raw fruits and vegetables. If you're on this channel, of course, you know that's what we're all about. And if you're not, I encourage you to stay, because very possibly you could incorporate more raw fruits and vegetables into your day-to-day life, and that's going to be beneficial for you in many ways. And you can use these hacks, of course, for any diet, but I'm talking about the raw vegan diet. Staying raw sometimes can be tricky. Sometimes we can be telling ourselves, I want to be a raw vegan for an entire month. And these are some hacks that can really be beneficial for you. So, and I appreciate you stopping by, checking out the video. Welcome if you're, a returning subscriber or viewer. It's good to see you back here. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really appreciate you stopping in just the same. And I also want to let you know that going on right now, we've got this spectacular deal happening. It's called the Ultimate Vegan Health and Weight Loss Bundle. Right, so this is an incredible bundle, over 120 different products in this bundle, valued at over $6,300 for just $49. I believe there's over 100, there could be over 110 different contributors into this bundle. So people from all over the world, all walks of life, and this is all vegan. Everything in here is vegan, and it is of course health focused and weight loss focused as well. So it's a great thing to tap into and to put into your arsenal, so to speak, for the beginning of this year. So be sure to check that out. I'll put the links in the description down below. Make sure you check that out. It is incredible. It's only going on until February 12th, right? So we don't have too long. It's only up for a few days, basically. All right, so to the hacks at hand, right? The 5 different hacks at hand. So the first one would be to plan, right? I mean, of course, everything happens with a plan. You have to have a plan, no matter what it is you're doing in life. A plan is really important. So when it comes to your diet, having a plan is so huge. And just another amazing thing about this bundle, there's all kinds of plans in there that you can tap into and actually implement, and to be sure that you're going to be successful on your raw vegan diet. So it all happens with a plan. A plan is so important. So important. I would say that's my number 1 first hack, is to have a plan. Have a meal plan that you're following, have a plan of what you're actually going to be having for the day, know what you're going to be eating. It's really important. Sometimes it's okay to wing it, when you're in the groove and you've already figured out, what's what, with a raw vegan diet. You don't have to necessarily be like, okay, I need to know exactly what I'm having for breakfast. Of course, fruits, smoothies, these are great ways to start your day. Of course, water, water is also a great thing to start your day with. And a plan is really, really huge, right? So then the next hack would be to prep. Now that you have the plan in place, you got to prep up for that. So maybe you need to grab a few things at the grocery store on your way home from work, or if you have the plan, if you kind of know what your week looks like, you know that there are certain items that you always want to have on hand, and prepping up for your meals. So things that we always keep on hand, of course, are going to be lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, right? Celery, zucchini, ginger, garlic, onions, right? All these things we're always replenishing. Dates, bananas, right? These are things that we're replenishing. So that way, when we do want to make something, we have the stuff on hand that we can actually start prepping up what it is that we're going to be making for our meal. So maybe you are working 9 to 5 somewhere, and you want to bring your lunch. So it's really important to prep in the morning, early in the morning. You could prep up your lunch, get your breakfast ready, and prep up your lunch real quick. Then you got your lunch dialed. Nobody's going to be able to persuade you into, let me buy you lunch today. I'll get you a sandwich or something. You're like, man, I really want to stay raw this month, or, I'm striving to be a raw vegan, solely, right? So prepping your food and prepping up is really huge, right? It's preparing, right? It's preparing. So I think the saying goes like, what is it? Fail to prepare, then prepare to fail, right? So it's kind of interesting how that one goes. It's really important to do the prep work. Do the prep work. A lot of times if we are taking a trip, Lissa and I, like maybe we're going out for a shopping trip the next day, we're doing like our major grocery haul for the week, then it's nice to have the night before, we chop extra lettuce, maybe we chop some extra celery, and kind of do some julienne carrots, because carrots do really well in the fridge overnight in a Tupperware. There are certain things that don't do the greatest, like cucumber, tomato, those kinds of things aren't necessarily the tastiest after they've been sitting in a Tupperware overnight, but you can do that kind of stuff, right? But it's really important that we prepare before we go out. That way when we're out and about, out in the city or whatever, we're hungry, we just grab our bowls in the back of the truck. Of course, if you have a car or whatever, grab your bowl, toss your stuff in there, you're good to go. You've prepped it. It's so huge when you do the prep work. You can't really fail if you're planning and you're prepping, right? That's a big thing. Some people do a lot of their prep work on the weekend. Maybe it's like Sunday, they do a lot of prep work for the entire week or up until Wednesday. That kind of stuff's amazing. And there's some tools that can really help kind of preserve juices and dressings and smoothies and such, or soups. And I'll go through that in another video, but basically just to give you a quick little rundown, it's just a vacuum sealed lid that would go on your mason jar. So you put this lid right on your mason jar and you just pump out the air, and this is going to help keep whatever it is that you made fresher longer. So that's kind of nice, right? Maybe you prepare a big jar of dressing, maybe it's a higher fat dressing with maybe it's hemp or cashew based. Those are gonna last great. They're gonna taste delicious 5-6 days later, especially under vacuum. So prepping is huge though. That's definitely a major hack to staying raw. Of course, another hack would be take it one day at a time. Go easy on yourself. If this is something new, this is something that you don't really do all the time, and you're really striving to eat more raw foods, just focus one day at a time. One of the things that really helped me was in the beginning, before Lissa and I actually even met in person, I was a fanboy. Like, I would watch her YouTubes and I would just really be enthralled with what she was saying because I wanted to be raw. I've got my story that I share on my YouTube channel. Basically, like, I met this guy on the ski lift who reversed his colorectal cancer, at the age of 42, and he'd been a raw foodie for 44 years ever since. So he was on the ski lift, 86 years old, right? And it was then that I came home and really binged watched YouTube trying to figure out how to do this raw food thing. I just really wanted to be like this guy that I met. I'm like, man, this guy really he's got a lot of vitality in him. He's 86 and he's still up here skiing. So when I found Lissa, the one thing that really helped me, really stuck out, was just say to yourself, I'm a raw vegan today. Right? Take it one day at a time. So focus one day at a time. That is a super huge, really important thing. Go easy on yourself. Like, don't beat yourself up. Beating yourself up or stressing out or feeling guilty, that's worse. It shows in studies, right? Like all these studies, right? All these studies these days, but it shows in studies that that's actually worse than if you were to have a slip up. Maybe you have like some chips and hummus or something rather, right? Some corn chips, it's corn oil and salt, it's deep fried in oil, right? Like, it's not the worst thing, but I mean, maybe that's something you're really trying to stay away from, but for some reason, you tapped into some chips and hummus or some chips and salsa at the restaurant with your friends or lunchtime or something. Just go easy on yourself. But if you focus one day at a time and you tell yourself, when you want to stay raw, and you just tell yourself, I'm a raw vegan today, right? And somebody's like, yo, come on, have some chips and salsa, Nate. And you're like, man, that looks great. Thanks for the offer, but I'm a raw vegan today, right? So just take it one day at a time. Focus one day at a time. Another hack would be to explore new recipes. This is huge. Oh my gosh, man. Recipes are so huge. Now, a lot of people may think, oh, if you eat like a raw vegan diet, like what do you eat? Like celery, carrots, lettuce, apples, like what is a raw vegan diet? This is where it can be really fun in finding new recipes. And there's a lot of really delicious things that you can make on a raw vegan diet. And maybe you haven't tuned into my Instagram. That's where, I post a lot of pictures of the stuff that we make. My wife, Raw Food Romance, also, puts a lot of pictures up, and just to kind of showcase what it is that you can do with raw foods. And of course, this happens through exploring new recipes. Now, this is really one of the things that helped me immensely when I was going raw, was that I had a plan that I bought from Lissa, her meal plan volume 1. And this was huge. I had these delicious recipes with beautiful pictures. I was like, that's what it's gonna look like. That's what I'm gonna be eating. Oh, that's amazing. I don't know if you're like me, but I mean, I feel like most of us eat with our eyes, right? So it's really nice to have a picture to go along with the recipe. There's really nothing, of course, I don't want to say there's nothing worse than, having a recipe with no picture. Of course, there's a lot of things worse than that, right? But having a recipe with no picture is frustrating because you're like, what does this even look like? Like this sounds good, but either way, exploring new recipes is definitely a great hack. And another reason to grab this bundle, $49 for like over $6,300 worth of programs in there. I mean, it's an amazing deal. Be sure to check it out. It's not here for very long. There's definitely going to be some great recipes, some great plans in there. There is a wealth of information in there. It's just a treasure trove of information. So be sure to check it out. Like I said, it's completely different than any of the other bundles, but that will really help you in your journey, right? To having new recipes, exploring new recipes, because you might be thinking like, gosh, I want to make something different. I want to make something I haven't made before. Like just today, Lissa made an entirely new recipe. I mean, she's a very talented recipe creator. Like, I've learned some things and I can make some delicious things, but she definitely has a gift for making recipes, just kind of pulling them out of thin air. And she made this soup today that is so good. It was so good. And she put it actually in her new book, which is going to be in the bundle, her new revised edition of 52 to a New You. This is a book that's going to be 300 pages. But this book alone, I've been watching her create it for the past several months. This is worth $50 by itself, 100%. And that recipe is going to be in that new book. As I'm eating it, I'm like, this better be in the new book. She's like, oh, I'm definitely putting this in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great one. And it's a raw soup. That's a fun one to be able to eat, right? Soup is great. It's, of course, it's delicious for certain times of year, and there's ways to go about it to where you're not just eating cold soup. It's not like a cold smoothie or something rather, right? So exploring new recipes, trying new things, that is a huge thing that is going to keep you having fun and staying on this path of eating a high raw diet or an all raw diet, or just incorporating more fresh fruits and vegetables into your day-to-day life. And this would bring me to my last hack, which is just never stop learning. Never stop learning. Dial in, read other things that have to do with health and why you'd even want to be eating raw foods. Of course, this is something that's really interesting to people looking in, and they might be asking you questions. So it's nice to be able to answer those questions when they're genuinely curious as to what you eat, why you eat the way that you eat, if you're eating a raw diet, right? Now, these are questions that I get asked, and this is why I'm saying that. Never stop learning. Lissa and I are back in school right now, in a program with Doctors Rick and Karen Dina called Mastering Raw Food Nutrition, and it is just an in-depth years worth of school. We're in school for an entire year, and it's really blowing my mind in a lot of ways. And of course, this is something I'm really excited about. I'm like, gosh, I'm excited to study this stuff for the next 2, 3, 5 years. So that way I'm better versed at being able to communicate with you who's listening into this, or with people who ask me questions that I might meet at like on the hiking trail or something rather. You get on a conversation like, what do you do? When the people ask us what we do, we're like, well, we're recipe creators. We're YouTuber and authors. And we just try to help people make the connection to eat more fruits and vegetables. And so therefore, it's important for us to stay learning, just like it is for you. No matter what it is you're doing out there, never stop learning. Learning it's amazing. And of course, you're working your brain, so that's healthy too, right? It's really good to exercise our brains, and learning is fun, especially when you're learning things that you want to learn, right? Like, it always isn't necessarily the most fun if you have to learn something that you don't want to learn, but definitely learning is key, so key. anyways, that's all I had to share with you guys on this video. You know, just some simple hacks to really kind of keep you on your raw vegan journey. And it's a fun trail to be on in so many ways. I mean, I've always said that it's really important for us to just incorporate more of these fresh fruits and vegetables into our day-to-day life. Like if you could, maybe you're not a full raw vegan, maybe you're not even vegan yet, right? I say yet because I'm hoping, you know, I'm trying to water seeds that I'm planting out there with you guys. Like I want more people to make that connection and understand that they can get the nutrients that they need on a plant-based, whole food, plant-based diet. Like it's incredible. We can get everything that we need. I mean, of course, there are certain, I shouldn't say everything, and that's an absolute, right? I shouldn't say everything. There are certain things that we need to supplement, right? So, and maybe that'll be for another video. I'll talk about supplements here. I'm gonna write sups down here so I don't forget, because I think that would be a good video to go over, talk about the supplements that we take. But essentially, you can get what you need on plants, like, you know, eating plants. So that is really the focus of this channel, and really our work, our life's work, is just to help inspire you to eat more whole foods, you know, fresh, ripe, raw foods, right? So like I was saying, I try to tell people, hey, if you've got the discipline, which sometimes can be tricky, to just eat 60 to 70% raw, right? You're doing better than the majority of the population. Let's say you eat 70% of your calories from raw. Focus in one day at a time. 70%, your breakfast, your snacks, your lunch are all raw. And then you have your cooked dinner. Or maybe you eat raw for dinner and you have a cooked meal for lunch, right? Something like that. I mean, or maybe like a hummus sandwich, you know, with some seitan or some tofu or something rather on your sandwich or something, you know, with a little bit of bread and that kind of stuff, right? That's still better than going out and getting, you know, some takeout or something rather, right? But 70%, then you've got 25% that you have for your whole food, plant-based meals, vegan, right? And no animal products. Try to keep like the oil out of your recipes, or like minimal amounts of oil, minimal amounts of salt, if you have to add any of that kind of stuff at all. Certain recipes call for a little salt, it might be optional. Maybe you cut the salt in half, right? And then that leaves you 5% to be able to, you know, maybe you do have something that isn't the most beneficial. But I know for a lot of us, that can be kind of a slippery slope, right? So sometimes it is best to strive in learning new things and understanding what happens to the body over time when we incorporate certain foods that aren't necessarily the most beneficial for us. So yeah, just do the best you can, go easy on yourself, focus one day at a time, right? Get a plan, prep it up, right? And keep learning, try new recipes. You can't go wrong. It's a really fun way to live, eating fresh raw foods, and we can inspire more people that we love and care about to eat more fresh raw foods and fruits and vegetables. These are good foods, and we can nourish ourselves for the rest of our lives on these foods. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this videos. Cheers, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to check out the Ultimate Vegan Health and Weight Loss Bundle, which is going on until February 12th. You don't want to miss it. It's $49, man. You're like, $49. You're gonna get, you know, just over $6,300 worth of content in there. You cannot go wrong. So I'll put that down in the description box below. You know, be sure you click the like button if you did like this video, share it with your friends. Definitely helps the channel. You know, hit the subscribe button, the bell for notifications for new videos coming out. I'm striving this year. I really want to stay consistent. That's one of the things that I'm focusing on, is to stay consistent with getting videos out, because I do have a lot to say, and of course I love talking to you, and I want to be able to help you in different ways. So I'm striving for that. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you do like this kind of content, and we'll see you on the next one. Love you.